Marketing your podcast is not an easy task, but for some reason we believe that podcasting and marketing have to all take place online. I'm going to talk to you today about old school. I'm going to go local. I'm going to take up some tactics and some ideas and strategies that we've used to build businesses over the years in local markets that I believe you can use to build your podcast. Marketing your podcast is vital, but why do we overlook the local? Now, this is part of a big series of podcast marketing content, and it's anchored around the centerpiece ultimate podcast marketing tutorial that you'll find at captivate.fm/marketing. Please go and check it out. It's a very highly in-depth podcast marketing tutorial that I guarantee will give you inspiration, but also actionable ideas that you can literally take from that article and implement today to start to get yourself more podcast listeners. I've built a few businesses in my time. I run Captivate.fm, I run podcast websites, I run productivity, we've got Podcast Success Academy. They're all online businesses, all under the Rebel Base Media banner. But I've also built local businesses. I've run design and digital agencies. I've built businesses for years. Since 2005, I've been building this business, right the way from being a freelancer up to a local business into what I'm doing now online. The core fact is this, that marketing is marketing, okay? The concepts and the principles remain the same. It's only the tactics that change, whether you do Facebook ads versus local adverts in a newspaper. It's the same strategy, it's just the tactics that change. And the point that I'm coming to here is that podcast marketing, whilst it is difficult, because ultimately we're marketing content, which can be tough, okay? It can be tough, there's no doubt about that. All my experience in offline work, in building businesses that are traditional businesses, that have got office space, that operate locally, all that experience tells me that podcast marketing doesn't all have to be online. In fact, if you think about it, if you live in a town or a city, I'm sat in a little city called Sheffield. There are 250,000 people here. Out of those 250,000 people, there are countless people that may be interested in Star Wars. And I've got a Star Wars podcast, but I don't tell them about it because it's not cool. It's not digital marketing. It's not podcast marketing if I just go local with it. But the realism is that there could easily be 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 people interested in Star Wars, but that don't have a clue what a podcast is. But they would love it. They would love us content, the content that we put out. They would love it because it's geeky, it's Star Wars, and that's what they are into. They simply don't know about audio as a platform. Local marketing for your podcast. It sounds a bit cliched and it sounds like it's a little bit dull, but I believe that you can build an audience for your show by going local. Now, what do I mean by going local? Well, what I'm talking about here is going old school. I'm talking business cards. I'm talking flyers. I'm talking laptop stickers. And I'm talking going out and purposefully building an audience of people that you meet and that will refer people to your show based on putting things together offline. I'm talking about attending networking events, okay? Heck, I'm talking about putting on meetups. Now, assume that you run a podcast. Let's again use Star Wars. We've got a Spark of Rebellion podcast, all right? It's just a hobby podcast, but we love doing it. What's to stop me putting together not a podcasting meetup and not a Spark of Rebellion meetup? What's to stop me just putting on a Star Wars meetup in Sheffield for all the Star Wars fans, for all the geeks, and then making sure that everyone had a Spark of Rebellion laptop sticker for free. Stick a bit of beer on, stick a pizza on. People will love that, and people do it. We do it. Here at Rebel Base Media, we do meetups for podcasting and people love it because we want people to know about Captivate, but also bring the community together. Wherever you are, there is a community of people that love what you love, okay? Just because you started a podcast about this thing doesn't mean there aren't other people local to you that also absolutely love the topic. So bring that community together and watch what happens, okay? The meetup can be sponsored by your podcast. You can go and you can take adverts out. You can get interviewed in your local press, getting an interview like a local podcaster. I mean, probably in your town or city, not that many people are doing podcasts. Unless you're in a major city, I would posit that not many people in your space are doing podcasts. So go and get an interview in the local press. Go and be that person. Go and get the business cards. They cost about $10. Go and get some flyers that you dot around and you give to people. Heck, start to talk to people around you about what they love. You would be surprised how many people love the same sort of stuff that you do and who would listen to something that is in their niche. Your job is to pull a community together. Podcast marketing doesn't have to be online, doesn't have to be digital. That is only one facet of that. Just like for a solicitor, a lawyer, an accountant, for a local shopping store, all of that stuff gets marketed locally as well as at high brand digital level. Why is our podcast any different? Go and bring your community together and educate people who love the thing that you talk about on podcasting. Make them see that there is a way for them to enjoy content that they love in a brand new way. And that way is your podcast. Try it. I think you'll be very surprised at some of the results. Stick to it, make it for the long term, and make it part of your overall podcast marketing strategy.